Ever wonder how those nonprofits get the money to do all that incredible work?
It is a question a lot of people have.
Like, how do they do it?
Yeah, it's not magic.
Definitely not.
A lot of it comes down to some pretty amazing people.
The unsung heroes,
Yeah,
nonprofit proposal writers.
definitely.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into a research article all about these writers.
Specifically, how they learn to do what they do.
Because honestly, it's not like other kinds of writing at all.
You might be pretty surprised by how these writers even see themselves
Yeah, and how they get their training.
and the stuff that helps them be successful.
Stuff you might not expect.
Exactly.
So this research...
It's called How Nonprofit Grant Writers Learn the Job.
Okay.
And you'll see right away that how the writers see themselves is super interesting.
The article really emphasizes that point that most proposal writers...
They don't even think of themselves as writers.
Right. It's like, what?
Which is funny because of the title.
Yeah, the title doesn't really match what they actually do.
Yeah.
So then how do they describe themselves?
They see themselves as facilitators,
Okay.
storytellers,
Interesting.
and organizers.
Mm.
In fact, one of the writers, writer 2, said, I help organizations tell their stories. I organize all the loose pieces for them.
Wow, that's a really cool way to put it.
It is.
It's like they're solving these puzzles.
Yeah.
They take all these different pieces, like the story, the data, the budget,
Yeah.
and then they fit them all together.
To make a case for funding.
Okay, but that makes me wonder,
Yeah.
if they don't see themselves as writers mainly,
Right.
then how do they even learn to do all of this?
Like this complicated skill set. Well,
Yeah.
formal education is definitely important.
Okay.
The study found that 65% of the writers had master's degrees,
Wow.
with the most common fields being public administration,
Makes sense.
social work, and communication.
So they're coming in already having a solid base?
Yes, they have a good academic foundation.
Okay, but is that enough?
Not quite.
What else is there?
A lot of the learning happens on the job,
Okay.
especially through conferences and workshops.
Interesting.
Those kinds of external learning opportunities,
Yeah.
it seems like those are even more important than having a mentor in their own organization.
Wow, that's really interesting.
It is.
I would have thought that having a mentor like right there
Yeah,
would be super important,
you'd think so,
especially for newer writers.
for sure.
So why do you think those other learning opportunities are ranked higher?
Well, one thing the article brought up
Yeah.
is that many of these writers are the only development person in their organization.
Whoa, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
The only one.
Think about that for a second.
You're responsible for bringing in the money that keeps the lights on.
Literally.
But you don't have anyone to talk to.
Right.
No one to bounce ideas off of
Yeah.
or learn from.
Inside the organization.
That's got to feel really isolating.
It does.
So they're out there having to figure a lot out on their own?
Yeah, like the article even mentions one writer, writer 12.
Okay.
She's still looking for the right knowledge management system,
Really?
even after trying this $10,000 database.
Whoa, $10,000?
Yeah.
You'd think that with that kind of money,
Right.
they'd have it all figured out.
It just goes to show that just because something's high tech
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's the answer,
Hmm.
even with fancy software.
Yeah.
Those personal connections and learning together,
Uh-huh.
those are still super important.
It can't all be replaced.
No.
So we've got these lone wolves out there.
Yes.
Learning as they go, trying to master this really complex field.
It's true.
But the article also talked about 3 specific skills that are really crucial for proposal writers.
Yes.
And some of them might surprise you.
Okay, let's get into it.
The first one is interviewing skills.
Okay.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, why?
Because I'm thinking they're probably interviewing experts in the field, like analyzing data, gathering all the information they need
Yeah,
to put together a strong proposal.
that's definitely part of it.
Okay.
But they're also interviewing people who work at the organization.
Oh, interesting.
They need to be able to get those compelling stories from the program managers
Yep.
and other people closest to the work.
So it's not just about all the data and research.
Right.
It's also about the human side of it all.
Exactly.
The personal stories.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You've got all these passionate people doing all this amazing work,
Uh-huh.
but they might not be great at explaining the impact of what they do,
Right.
like in a way that would really connect with funders.
So then the proposal writer has to come in
Yeah.
and translate all that passion
Yeah.
into a story that will make people want to give money.
Exactly. It's like they're journalists
Oh, yeah.
uncovering those hidden gems.
And crafting a story that captures what the organization is really all about.
Yes. Their mission and impact.
It sounds like that takes a lot of skill.
Oh, it definitely does.
So what's the next unexpected skill?
Project management.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I thought proposal writing was all about like beautiful writing and telling compelling stories.
Yeah.
So how does managing projects fit into that?
It's more connected than you might think.
Okay.
Remember, these writers are often gathering input from all sorts of people.
Like who?
Program managers, financial officers, community partners.
Oh, wow.
And they have to meet these strict deadlines.
From the funders.
Yeah, so they need to be able to juggle all these moving parts.
And keep everyone on track.
Exactly.
It sounds like you need serious organizational skills.
For sure.
And like a talent for diplomacy.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to the third unexpected skill.
Yes.
Personnel management.
Right.
Personnel management. I'm really curious about that one.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that?
It means being able to handle all those relationships,
Okay.
especially when you're working with more than one organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's crucial for success as a proposal writer.
Okay.
Just think about the potential for conflict. You've got different people with different priorities.
Right.
Everyone wants some of that funding.
Yeah.
So the proposal writer has to manage those expectations.
So everyone feels heard.
And valued.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's like they're diplomats.
Trying to get everyone to agree.
Yeah, creating a shared purpose among everyone involved.
I never realized how many different things a proposal writer has to be good at,
It's true. It's a multifaceted role.
requiring a very specific set of skills.
You said it. You have to be a storyteller, a researcher,
A project manager,
a diplomat,
all in one.
all rolled into one.
And it sounds like it takes a long time to get good at all of that.
You're right.
Yeah.
The article found that most writers said it took 6 months to a year to really feel comfortable.
In their job.
Yeah, one writer two again,
Okay.
she talked about how important it is to get to know the community,
Yeah.
understand what the organization is all about,
Uh-huh.
and really hone those storytelling skills.
It makes sense. You can't just start at a new organization and be an expert right away.
Nope,
You need to learn the ropes and really understand what's going on.
definitely. And it's not just about being able to write well.
There's more to it.
Yeah, it's about empathy, understanding
And being able to connect with people.
on a human level.
So are there any shortcuts to mastering all of this?
Well, the article did mention that conferences and workshops were super valuable for these writers,
Okay.
even more so than mentorship within their organizations.
It's like they're finding their people,
You should
learning the best ways to do things, and getting that support that they might not have at work.
Exactly.
It's a good reminder that we don't have to learn everything by ourselves.
Sometimes finding the right community is all it takes.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder,
Good.
are universities and organizations doing enough to get people ready for these jobs?
If conferences and workshops are so valuable,
Right? Maybe there needs to be more focus on those softer skills,
like what?
like the interviewing, the project management,
Yeah.
the personnel management.
Instead of just focusing on how to write.
Exactly. But what about people who do have that formal training in proposal writing?
Like a degree or something?
Yeah. Does their experience look different?
That's a great question.
Is it answered in the article?
Unfortunately, it doesn't really go into that comparison.
Okay.
However, it does mention that while only 5% of the writers had a degree specifically in fundraising, the majority of them had degrees in things like administration management, communications, and social sciences.
So it sounds like all sorts of different backgrounds can lead to success in this field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really shows how adaptable the skill set is.
So it's not just about being an expert in one specific area.
It's about being able to learn new things quickly
Put information together.
and communicate it in a way that makes people want to listen.
So it's really about being a problem solver
Yeah.
and someone who can connect the people with resources to the people who need them.
Exactly. And that connection often starts with understanding research methods, the ones that are used to support the organization's work.
Uh-huh.
The article pointed out that research methods, which are often covered in grad school,
Yeah.
are essential for proposal writers,
It makes sense. They're basically detectives
digging deep for the data.
to prove what the organization is saying.
Yeah, they have to know how to ask the right questions, find the right information, and present it in a way that's convincing.
It makes people want to get on board.
Exactly. And that brings us to another point about those interviewing skills.
Okay.
It's not just about interviewing experts or looking at data.
Uh-huh.
It's also about interviewing the people who work at the organization.
Right. You have to be able to get those stories from the people actually doing the work.
Exactly. Like the program managers and the people working directly with the programs.
Yeah, those are the people who really know what's going on.
Yeah, but think about it.
Okay.
You have all these people who are so passionate about what they're doing,
Right. They're doing all this amazing work.
but they might not be the best at explaining the impact of it all.
Like in a way that makes sense to people who might give them money.
Exactly.
It's hard to step back and see the big picture when you're in the trenches.
I can see how that would be tough.
You're so focused on the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, you might not even think about how to package it all up nicely for a funder.
Right, because that's not your job.
And that's where the proposal writer comes in.
To bridge that gap.
Yeah, like a journalist almost.
Unearthing all those stories and shaping them in a way that makes sense.
Capturing what the organization's all about and the real impact they're having.
It's like they're part journalist, part therapist.
There's definitely some emotional intelligence needed there.
For sure, because you have to think about it.
Yeah.
These writers are dealing with people who are super invested in their work.
Yeah, their heart and soul.
So there can be a lot of sensitivity around all those funding conversations.
And the organization's priorities.
So it's like walking a tightrope.
Trying to make everyone happy.
Balancing the needs of the organization with what the funders expect.
While also keeping everything positive.
And keeping those relationships strong.
Exactly. Which brings us back to that personal management thing we were talking about.
Right. It's not just about managing projects and meeting deadlines.
It's about managing people, too.
And their emotions. This is making me realize that there is so much more to writing proposals than I ever thought.
There really is.
It's not just about being good at writing.
No, it's about understanding people.
Like human element.
The why behind it.
Because at the end of the day, funders are people too.
They're not just robots looking at numbers.
They want to feel connected to the cause.
They want to know that their money's going to make a difference.
So the proposal writer has to build that trust.
That credibility.
By showing the passion the organization has for the work they're doing.
And the commitment.
And that they really understand the issues.
And all of that needs to come through in the proposal.
In a way that's clear and concise and makes people want to read it.
Remember, these funders get tons of requests.
So the proposal has to stand out.
Which is why those storytelling skills are so important.
It's like creating an experience for the person reading it.
Drawing them into the story.
Helping them connect to the cause.
Yeah, you have to paint a picture.
Of the impact the organization's making.
The difference they're making in people's lives.
When you think about all these writers out there,
yeah,
it's really inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
They have so much talent and dedication.
They're connecting the people with resources to the people who need them most.
And yet their work is often invisible.
They're the ones behind the scenes.
We don't see their names or hear their stories.
But they're making a huge difference.
Which is why this deep dive is so important.
It's giving us a peek into a world most people don't even know about.
And maybe changing how we think about what it means to be a writer.
These people might not call themselves writers.
But they're masters of language.
And they're using their skills to change the world.
You know, if we think about it, this article isn't just about proposal writing.
What else is it about?
It's about the power of storytelling.
In every part of life.
Yeah, we tend to think of it as something for novelists or filmmakers.
Right.
But it's so much more than that.
It's how we connect as humans.
We've been telling stories forever.
Since the beginning of time.
It's how we make sense of everything.
And connect with each other.
And get people to take action.
And in proposal writing.
Yeah.
It's not just about making things sound pretty.
It's about making complicated ideas easy to understand.
And engaging.
It's about showing the impact, not just talking about it.
Right, like that quote from writer 2.
I help organizations tell their stories. I organize all the loose pieces for them.
It's about taking all that stuff.
The data, the budgets, all the program description.
And weaving it all together.
Into a story that the reader can connect with.
And that's a skill that goes way beyond just nonprofits.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No matter what you do.
If you can tell a good story.
You'll be better at communicating your ideas.
Persuading people.
And getting things done.
It's like they say, facts tell, but stories sell.
People might not remember all the numbers.
But they'll remember the story about how someone's life was changed.
Because of the organization.
And those stories are what stick with funders, too.
They want to know they're making a difference.
But a good story.
It makes that connection.
That goes deeper than just numbers.
Much deeper.
This deep dive has been amazing.
It has.
I feel like I understand proposal writing so much better now.
Me too.
And the impact these writers have.
It's easy to forget about all the work that goes into getting that funding.
For all those great nonprofits out there.
But these writers are the real heroes.
So as we wrap up,
yeah,
I want to leave our listeners with a thought.
Okay.
Think about the things you're passionate about.
The causes you care about.
And the skills you have.
What are you good at?
And then ask yourself,
well,
could I make a difference through writing proposals?
You might not think of yourself as a writer.
But if you're passionate
and organized
and good at connecting with people,
you might be surprised what you can do.
Don't let the fear of not being an expert stop you.
Exactly.
Because even the best proposal writers,
They all started somewhere,
they learned as they went.
and they grew from their experience.
And maybe someday
Yeah,
we'll be doing a deep dive into your success story.
that would be awesome.
But for now,
Yeah.
think about what really stuck with you from this deep dive.
What surprised you?
What inspired you?
What are you going to do with what you learned?
Because knowledge is only valuable when you use it.
Go out there, find your cause,
Hone your skills.
and start telling those stories that can change the world.
Yeah, it's easy to just think, oh, I'll learn this and use it someday.
But taking action is so important.
It really is. And the more we talk about this research, the more I realize we really underestimate the power of storytelling.
We do. We think of it as like just for books and movies.
But it's way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
It's how we talk to each other as humans.
We've been telling stories since the beginning.
It's how we make sense of the world.
And how we connect.
And how we inspire each other.
In proposal writing,
Yeah.
storytelling isn't just about making things sound good.
It's about taking these complicated ideas
And making them relatable.
so people get it.
And showing the impact.
Not just talking about it.
Like that quote from Writer 2.
I help organizations tell their stories. I organize all the loose pieces for them.
It's taking all those pieces.
The data, the budgets, all the descriptions.
And turning it into a story.
That the reader can connect with.
And that's a skill that everyone needs.
Not just people in nonprofits.
No matter what you do, if you can tell a good story.
You'll be better at everything.
Communicating your ideas.
Getting people on board.
Getting things done.
It's like they say facts tell, but stories sell.
So true.
People forget the numbers.
But they remember the stories.
Like the story of how one person's life was changed.
Because of what that organization did.
And those are the stories that stick with funders.
They want to know their money matters.
That it's going to a good cause.
A good story does that.
It makes that connection.
That goes beyond just the numbers.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
I have a whole new appreciation for these writers.
They too.
And what they do for the world.
It's easy to forget about all that behind-the-scenes work.
The work that makes all those nonprofits successful.
But these writers are the real heroes.
So as we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with one last thought.
A challenge.
Think about those things you're passionate about.
Those causes you care about.
Think about what you're good at.
Your skills and talents.
And ask yourself, could I make a difference by writing proposals?
You might not be a writer in the traditional sense.
But if you're passionate and organized,
And you connect well with people.
you might be surprised what you can do.
Don't let the fear hold you back.
The fear of not being an expert.
Because even the best proposal writers,
They were all beginners once.
they learned and adapted.
And grew along the way.
Maybe someday we'll be talking about your success story.
That would be amazing.
But for now,
Think about what resonated with you today.
what surprised you?
What are you going to take away from this?
What are you going to do with what you learned?
Because knowledge is only powerful when you use it.
So go out there,
Find your cause
hone those skills.
and start telling stories.
That can change the world.